Evening. Let me just watch you all log on. Nice to see those little participant numbers. They like creep up and creep up and creep up. And then they kind of plateau, so I'll wait till that happens. I hope everyone's well. I don't know how it is weather-wise where you are. In fact, I know, I think if you're in England, you might still have nice weather. So we had like really nice weather and then it's broken today. I find it quite refreshing actually, more like autumnal kind of weather. So I'm ready for the change in season. I think it's really important. I feel like we've not really got it this year. So that's been nice. Okay, we've kind of plateaued there. So welcome everybody. Week 4, I think, of our 6-week block. So you're more than welcome if you're just starting with me. Don't worry, you've missed loads of good stuff, but anyway, don't worry, I'll keep you right. So that's like shining. I didn't really think through my outfit choice. I'm just basically wearing what I wore today. I'll tuck that there. I'm always all wired up. So welcome to this Fertility Network session. As I say, week 4 of 6. So if you've not joined me before, I have to read this little disclaimer before we start. So I like to just launch in, get that done, and then we can talk nice yoga stuff after that. So when practicing yoga online, it is up to the individual to assess whether they are ready for the class they have chosen, in this case, fertility yoga. If you suffer from specific injuries or disease, it's best to consult with your doctor first. The practice of yoga asanas requires you, the practitioner, to gauge the safety of your practice within your personal physical limitations. It is better to build up slowly rather than to force and strain. While one may feel exertion, one should also feel relaxed. The techniques and suggestions presented in this webinar are not intended to substitute for proper medical advice. You should always consult your doctor before beginning any new exercise. Okay, so we always do a little theme. Well, I like to do a little theme, particularly when we're talking fertility, particularly when it's a subject so close to you guys' heart and mine as well. So last week, what were we looking at last week? We were delving into the chakras. So we were doing a lot about the Sacral Chakra and using a nice visualization of the colour orange. We're going to continue that just through the class. But we're going to be looking at some real strong, positive affirmations, okay? So whenever I talk about this, I always think, God, I hope people don't take this the wrong way. Like, I am not about toxic positivity, as in if you're going through a hard time and you are working and leaning into emotions that might be seen as negative emotions. There's not really any such thing. It's an emotion, isn't it? It is what it is. But there is something to be said for the power of positivity. Okay? And I'm a big fan of affirmations. And I think when you get into, when you practice yoga and you work through your practice, I genuinely believe your subconscious starts to listen and at a deeper level, okay? And we really work to switch off that thinking brain, you know, the neocortex, the forefront of your little monkey brain that chatters away at you. I think it's nice when that starts to switch off and you're just breathing, moving through the practice. And it's nice to work with positive affirmations then, okay? So we're going to do some tonight, okay? So I've got one that we want to work with through the class. And then the meditation at the end, we're just going to do a nice relaxation that kind of taps into your subconscious mind. And then I'll do more, okay? So I hope that sounds nice. I mean, weak this talk up. I don't know what I was thinking. It's a place to it, but anyway, we'll be fine, okay? So anything else? Listen to your body. Like I always say, like that wee disclaimer talks about building up without force or strain, okay? But really, you should see progression with your yoga, but I think particularly for women, sometimes your yoga practice goes up and down. Like what you could do last week perhaps you're struggling a bit this week, but it's a good way to tune into your body, and it fluctuates all through your cycle, okay? So as I always do, I'll keep you right first half of the cycle, second half of the cycle, if you're on stims, if you're post-transfer, but just one proviso is if you are post-retrieval or transfer, 48 hours, no physical yoga, okay? That's one proviso I always give. Okay, we ready? So I'll go over to my mat, share the music, we've got the music playing, and we'll just get cracking, all right? No questions tonight, so that's nice. I hope everyone's well though. Right. So we're just going to go into a full yogic breath, okay? So you've got an option here. So you know how I like that constructive rest position lying on your back with your knees bent? You can go with that, or you can just sit up tall and straight in a nice Sukasana position. So a nice cross-legged position on your mat, okay? All right. So affirmation's quite powerful and strong, okay? And if it brings up emotions in you, then that's fine, but we're going with it, okay? It's really, really powerful. I've been working with it with my clients this week, and it's like, wow, okay? So it's 2 sentences, positive affirmation in the present tense, and it is, I expect a miracle, I deserve a miracle, okay? So you're going to say that to yourself through this practice with conviction, okay? All right, so we're getting ourselves just, if you're lying on your back, then that's cool, constructive rest, but if you're going for this Sukasana position, let's kind of draw the flesh away, pull it out to the side, because whenever I say connect with your sit bones down into the earth, sometimes when you pull away all that muscle and flesh, you go, oh, actually that feels more connected, okay? Lifting up, lengthening up through the spine, okay? So we're going to use our hands to connect with 3 energy centers of the body, okay? The first being down at the Sacral Chakra, your lower belly breath. The second is just like your solar plexus, so solar plexus, then round the ribs, and the third is the heart center, okay? So it's important we don't just choose these energy centers for no reason. It's really important, okay? We store a lot of emotions in these areas, so you know when I was talking about the negative emotions, we often stuff them into parts of our body. So I want a sense of release tonight of those negative emotions. And I really want to try and stop saying negative emotions. I've never quite figured out a way to say it better, but you know what I mean, okay? So hands on to your lower belly. Eyes closing over. So I've asked you to put your hands there. I want you to feel warmth from your hands on your whim. And I want you to notice where the breath is kind of sitting in the body just now. Is there parts of the body that are moving with the breath? Perhaps even sometimes we rise up with the shoulders and drop down with the breath. Perhaps it's just the chest rising and falling. We just notice. Ask yourself how you feel. Ask yourself, how are you feeling tonight? And don't say fine. Okay. And I want you to begin to shift the breath, okay? A distinct shift happening where you begin to send the breath down into the belly. Belly rising and falling with the breath. So you'll feel that on your hands. You'll feel the hands push out and draw back. You are nourishing this part of the body really deeply here with the breath. Okay. Then we're ready to move our hands. Okay, we're going to lift them up. So just draw them. So find your solar plexus and just have them either side of the solar plexus. Sometimes, which is what feels quite nice as well, is not to have the full hand at the front and even bring the hand round to the side of the rib so that you're kind of just cupping here. So I really want you to be looking for quite a deep expansion of this area, so quite a deep expansion of the lungs. So you want to feel the ribs move out to the side, but also forward and back as well. Do you know what I mean? It's a big 3D movement. Okay, so let's move the breath up. We've now moved up to another energy center, our solar plexus chakra. I want you to be direct and very deep, very nourishing breaths into this area. Remember, we're trying to clear the mind through this practice, okay? We're trying to. So if you kind of catch yourself like, oh, I've went away a place there and my mind's away wandering, simply draw it back to that feeling of the hands moving side to side, front to back. And that sound of the breath as it moves in and out. Okay. Then let's move our hands up, okay? So I want you to take your left hand and place it over your heart. And I want you to take your right and bring it on top, okay? How does that feel? Even that action of doing that is such a loving gesture to yourself. And we're going to send the breath into the heart space. This can be quite emotive sometimes. It might not for you tonight, that's cool as well. You might just be cruising along tonight and that's good. You might have little emotions that are going to come up and meet you here. Deep breaths, deep into the heart. And we're ready for that powerful affirmation again. I expect a miracle. I deserve a miracle. Okay. So now we're going to do some about 3 to 5 quite powerful breaths, exhales out, okay? And what you're going to try and do is think of something that's really not serving you well at the moment, an emotion, a worry, a doubt, a concern. We're going to out of our mouth and force our hands away, okay? So we're going to take our hands off that little loving gesture to yourself, and we're going to turn the palms outwards, okay? We're going to take an inhale and draw it in toward the heart. And then on the exhale, push the hands away. And then keep going. Okay, I'm not going to make that noise like over your little microphones, okay? But you're going to do it in your own little safe yoga space. Maybe 3 to 5 more times, okay? Inhale, and then that strong release away. Okay. I think that feels quite powerful. I really like that one. Do we feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more centered, ready to get the body flowing and moving? Okay. So see when you're doing these yoga postures, okay, so obviously I'm a trained yoga teacher, and we're taught very rigid kind of ways to place your body and everything like that, okay? That's cool. But seeing fertility yoga, obviously I'm very much about the pelvis and the womb space. So see if you ever feel you just want to kind of move the hips a little bit, then go for it, okay? So even in like sort of, say we're coming up to a down dog today, and you feel, oh, it'd be really nice, I'd really love to sway my hips side to side, then go for it. Gently, obviously, safely, but there are ways we can just add a little bit more, and it's just you really deeply connecting to your womb space and your pelvis, and you're getting energies moving, okay? You might not feel like that, and that's fine. Sometimes I don't either, but sometimes I really do, okay? Very feminine. Think of it as really feminine yoga that is really focusing into the womb, all right? So let's stay here where we are for now. Let me take a sip of my juice. I'm gonna go for, I always get such a drift whenever I'm talking to you guys. Okay, let's do a nice little seated Sukasana twist, okay, to start us off. So if you're really trying to go for it in the first half of the cycle, after menstruation, leading up to ovulation, twists are lovely, stimulating into the ovaries, really, really good. It's not to say you can't do them in after ovulation time, but you maybe just aren't going to go quite as deep, okay? So the most gentle version of a seated Sukasana twist is just, we'll start off right hand just resting on the right knee, left hand onto the floor behind, lifting up that energy. And all you need to do is a little gaze behind. If you want to go a little deeper, maybe take that right hand that's resting on the right knee and cross it over the body. Give you a little bit of extra kind of purchase across, pulling on to the left thigh and going a little deeper. Okay, nice squeezy twist. Breathe as well. It's more difficult to breathe when you've kind of cut off a lot of that lovely openness that we had before, but that's cool. That doesn't matter. Just try and breathe deeply. And then come round to the front. Always a nice little pause after we've done a twist. And over to the other side. Okay, and back round to the front. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to move into our stretching the sole, okay? So we're going to we're just going to come with our feet tucked under, switch yourself onto our knees, okay? Okay, and then if you've not done this one with me before, it's quite a wee awkward one. It stretches out your foot basically, and sometimes your body's screaming at you to stop, but it's actually really, really nice, opening up lots of nice meridians in the body, okay? So you're tucking the toes under, at the back, okay? So even that, tuck the toes under and kind of really feel into the toes, and it's like, oof. Then we're going to intensify that a little bit. So just check your knees are directly below your hips. And then we're just going to begin to lower down. Okay. And can you feel what I mean? It's like, oh. So you want to feel that kind of uncomfortable sensation, but you don't want to be in absolute agony, okay? So you can lift up, release it. But ideally, I want you to get to that kind of position where you're like, oof, yeah, I'm feeling it. And you're going to breathe. And you're going to focus on the breath. Moving in and out. Okay, then you're going to release into a tabletop, uncuddle the toes, and tap your feet. Tap, 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 tap. Okay, feel that sense of almost blissful release. Okay, and then what we're going to do is move into, just briefly, into a really nice extended child's pose. Okay, but I want you to do this really slowly, okay? Remember, you can always open your knees a little wider if your tummy's a bit sore or tender, but I mean, your knees should be about hip width. And then I really want you to not just flop right into child's pose. I want you to push away with the hands and really focus on sending that bum right down onto the heels, making a nice connection there. Again, this is another one, right? So I've went down here and I've instinctively felt like I just want to sway my hips side to side a little. So if that feels good for you as well, you do that. If not, if you're enjoying that real blissful stretch out of the spine, then you work on that, okay? Then kind of walk your fingers as far forward as you can. We're just opening up the spine here, taking the forehead towards the floor. Okay. Coming up to all fours. Okay, let's just work into the hips a little. I'll do this posture a lot because I really, really love it. Like, let me just sit up a second, turn it, tie my hair back in. It's all over the place. So, I was talking about emotions. I'm very big on that. Pushing emotions down, so lodging them in parts of the body. For women, that is a lot of the time the womb space and the hips. And this one is just awesome for just working into the hips, okay? We do it quite a lot, but I'm just going to talk about it a little bit, right? So we're moving when we're in all fours, we're going to move our knee, okay? And I want you to really visualize the top of your thigh, right? And it's that kind of, you make a fist and then imagine that's your socket. I've got a little pelvis there. I'll show you, right? So what I'm going to get you to visualize is, this is the pelvis. See that little socket, that wee socket, ball and socket joint, that would be the top of your thigh and in there, right? So what I'm looking to, if I want you to visualize that little pocket is like full of kind of little crystallized bit of fascia, as in quite tight little bits of muscle, fascia. Fascia is like one less than muscle, basically. And I like to sometimes visualize that it's full of cobwebs, okay? And by doing this motion that we're doing, we're giving it a little spring clean, okay? So we're really working into that joint. And as such, as we're breathing, then we're releasing anything that we've stuffed in there, okay? You might think I'm talking nonsense, but it is so true. I don't know if you've ever heard of like when people get hip replacements and they feel great after it's been done because it's like, oh, that pain's gone and that's amazing. But they often get this real like day 2, 3 dip where they're like crying for no reason. And they're like, I don't know why. It's fascinating what we do in our bodies, okay? I've gone on a tangent again. I just want you to know, I like you to know why we're doing things. I like you to think I've not just decided I'm randomly doing these postures, okay? So let's visualize all that now, okay? We're on all fours and we're going to just work one side at a time, okay? So when you're doing this as well, flex your foot, right? Get that little stretch, those meridians going in your foot as well, okay? So lift up with your right knee, up off the mat, flex your right foot, and then start, okay? So we're just drawing circles with the knee. You feel that little joint working, okay? But it's also, see when we release, I mean, I'm saying emotions, right? But you might just want to think of it on a physical level of the fascia being warmed up, the little ligaments all being warmed up, and that in itself lets lovely blood flow into the pelvic bowl, into your womb. Slowly working, breathing, and releasing. Okay, let's bring that knee down, and before we go to the other side, let's go into child's pose and stay there for a few breaths. Can you feel anything on the sole of your foot? Let's go back up. All fours, okay? And over to the other side. Same again. You might even hear little pops and cracks. I just heard one there in my hip. A wonderful sense of releasing and letting go. Okay. And we're going to take ourselves into child's pose again. Okay. Now from here, let's come up to all fours and tuck the toes under again. Don't worry, we're not stretching the sole. We're coming up to a really loose and really gentle standing forward fold, okay? So just shift yourself onto the soles of your feet, onto standing, or just fold it over gently, okay? Knees are bent, nice and gentle. You even want to sway the hips a little, side to side. Okay, and then cuddle up. Okay. So we're going to do, as you stand up in your leg, whoa. So what we're going to do is Do you want to do more of those pushing away ones? They're really cool, aren't they? That we did earlier, but we'll do it from a nice flow. So what we do is show you one, okay, and then we'll do keep going with it, okay? So we have our feet connected with the floor. Hands come onto the small of the back, okay? So we're going to have a gentle push forward here, okay? And that's a breath. And then you come up and you lift your hands above the head and you put them to prayer position on an inhale. You can't see my hands, but they're in prayer. And then you fold forward on an exhale. And then on your next inhale, you kind of trace your hands along the front of the legs, rolling yourself open. And then you do that turn of the palms away and you exhale away. Okay, and again, we're just releasing, exhaling, okay? Do you want to keep going? So we'll just do that, keep going, just flowing with that little sequence. I'll talk through the first one, then we'll just leave you to kind of just go with the flow, okay? Hands onto the small of the back. Inhale, exhale, pushing forward. Inhale, lift up, hands above head. Exhale, standing forward fold. Inhale, up to the heart center. Exhale, away. Excuse me. Okay, so do you want to keep going with that while I have a drink? I'm on my last kind of round, okay, so my hands are above head and I'm going to fold forward and do that last release. So just you, whatever stage you are, do your last little one. Okay, and then just give you a little minute. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is a really nice one, right? It's a cross between a cat and cow and, excuse me, the chair position. I love both, okay? I love chair because it is strong, it is grounding, but it's a right good one for your thighs. And then letting the blood flow move back into, again, the pelvic bowl. But I love cat and cow because I love that movement of your pelvis back and forth. So we're going to combine the two, okay? So you're going to bring your feet to hip width and make sure it is hip width, right? I was talking about this with another yoga teacher the other day and I was like, the amount of students you see like this, hip width, and you're looking at them going, your hips. I don't know if, and I'm quite guilty of that as well. I have to keep correcting myself. Your hips aren't that wide, they're not that wide. Okay, so nice hip width, okay? Find like the bones of your hips and go down. And another little nice cue, right, to make sure your feet are nice. A good spacing is like 2 fists. So if you can get 2 fists, that's good. Okay, that's probably about the right position of your feet. Okay, lift the toes, spread them out, okay? And sometimes with chair, we have our hands above our head, but I want you to have your hands on your pelvis so you can really feel that lovely movement back and forth, okay? So when you first come down, a lovely neutral spine and pelvis, okay? So inhale, exhale, Visualize you're sitting in that little empty chair. So you might feel, oh, that's a wee stretch into the calves, isn't it? Start to put pressure onto your thighs. So let's get cracking, okay? So inhale, tilting the pelvis, gazing up, lovely open chest. Exhale, curling it through, chin onto chest, curling through. Okay, keep going. Okay, neutralize the spine, lift up. Let's give our legs a nice little shake. Oh, that lovely juicy blood flow. Right, let's do a couple of warriors now, okay? I love a warrior. Because it's very grounding again, like that chair, but you feel really strong in it, okay? So that's another affirmation we're going to use, okay? I am strong, okay? I want you to say it to yourself when we're in this warrior position, okay? So we're going to come up to the top of the mat, feet are hip width, 2 fists, and then take your right foot back, okay? A nice light step back, okay? So the back foot kind of lands about 45 degrees, there or thereabouts. Don't worry about specifics, okay? Hips forward. Then we're going to try and kind of sink a little. So bend into that front knee, okay? Hips are forward. Play around till you feel that strength, okay? Till you feel rooted, grounded, and strong. Roots coming out the soles of your feet, connecting you to the earth, okay? Then we're going to inhale and lift to the heavens and say your affirmation. I am strong. Okay, hands down, lift the heel up at the back and step yourself forward. A couple of breaths before we just launch straight in to the other side. Okay, let's go to the other side now. Okay, left foot back. Okay, hands down, and then stepping it forward. Okay, let's move to warrior 2. Okay, so we're going to feel that same sense of strength. I want you to really focus on opening your heart center, okay? And we'll do maybe a little change in our arms than we usually do with warrior 2, okay? Just for a little change, and also to open up through the heart, okay? So we're going to take a step back with the right foot again. But the difference here, we don't want the hips going forward. We want them to open out to the side, okay? So nice big step back with the right foot. Now my hips are facing you basically instead of forward. They're like this, okay? So it's if you feel a bit more open, a little bit, you can go a little deeper, okay? So if you remember, our warrior 2 arms are like this, really reaching away from each other. So we'll start off like this, okay? And then what we want to do is create a nice bind, okay? So turn the palms to your back and wrap your hands back and grab hold of forearms or elbows and really feel that openness in the chest. And breathe there. and release, and then step it forward. I often find I need 2 little steps from warrior 2 because it's that little bit kind of deeper. You might be fine, you might be launching away forward. Let's go to the other side. I'm just going to go this way so that I'm facing you again. So left foot back. Okay. Hands out, warrior 2 arms, and then behind. Grabbing on, opening your chest and your heart. Okay, release your arms. Instead of stepping forward, our feet are pretty much lined up anyway, but we're going to turn so that both toes are pointing the same direction, okay? And into wide leg forward fold, and we can add and layer a little twist into that if that feels good, okay? So remember, we've been working to open our heart. Let's keep that up, okay? Keep the heart open, relax, shoulders relax. Inhale. Exhale. Moving forward into a wide-legged forward fold. If your hands are just hanging out in midair, that's completely fine. Okay? It might even be more comfortable for you if your hands don't reach the floor to fold them over, as if you're crossing your arms over your chest, and just be nice and loose. Let the weight of those arms move you over. Okay, but you're gazing behind you now, okay? The crown of your head is leading towards the floor. Okay? If we want to add this little twist, we're going to start off on our right side, okay? Where we bring the right hand onto the right shoulder and just open up with the shoulders. So we're beginning to bring our gaze, perhaps starting off just gazing alongside us. If we felt we could open up a little more, our gaze moves up to the ceiling, and perhaps we can float our hands up towards the ceiling. And then we're just going to bring our wrist, bend our elbow, bring ourselves back down. And then we're going to go to the other side. Hand onto shoulder first. Opening up, then lifting up. And back down. And then rolling it up. Oh, lovely blood flow, just moving back. Hopefully bringing with it a nice sense of peace and calm. Nice with forward folds. Right, I want to make our way down now towards the ground, okay? So I'm just walking my feet in, I'm giving them a little shake, and then we're going to move down and we're going to come into a bridge position, okay? But let's just take our time, okay? So get into a seated position with the knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and then begin just bring your body down. Okay, so we're going to do a nice little cue here with the knees that helps create an amazing length in the spine, okay? Before we move to our bridge, I just want to do pelvic tilts, okay? And then we'll move up to bridge, okay? So we're going to have our feet at hip width. Again, definitely just hip wider. So we want knees below hips, ankles below knees, okay? And then I just want you to bring your hands onto your pelvis again, the way we did when we were doing those chair position with our cat to cow. We're going to do the most subtle little lift here, okay? Where we're literally just peeling the sacrum, that bone at the back of the pelvis, up off the mat. And If someone was watching you do it, they probably wouldn't even see much, okay? But for you, it's like, oh, I'm just going to peel that off. Tailbone kind of looking up towards the ceiling and then drop back down. And maybe you can just do a little tilt the other way. Okay, so start off tiny like that. Inhale, lift. Exhale, putting it back down. Okay, and then you can maybe lift a little more. Okay, so maybe lifting so much that the natural lumbar curve of the spine's flattened a little in, and you could maybe get even a hand underneath your pelvis and then drop back down. So we're just building up. The energy is beginning to move and shift, and those little fascia and ligaments are warming up. Okay, another couple of little pelvic tilts, and then we're going to rise up with the pelvis a little more. So we'll need to be pushing into the feet a little bit more. Okay, you'll need your hands, a bit of support with your arms and hands. So hands down by your side, palms facing down. Okay, feet hip width. Okay, we're going to drive and push into those feet, and as we do, we're going to rise up with the pelvis. We're kind of rising up, taking our chin towards our chest, and we seem to be kind of resting on our shoulders. Okay, okay, 2 breaths there. And then as we drop ourselves down, okay, it's really nice to bring yourself down, but I want you to use your knees to guide you there, right? And I want you to take your knees towards the bottom of your mat as you bring each vertebra down. And it creates this lovely kind of length through the spine. And your pelvis goes down last, okay? So let's try that again, okay? So do you see what I mean? It's very hard to describe, but it's a subtle change. So if you did it, lifting up and then you kind of just bring each vertebrae down, that feels nice. But see if you do that, taking the knees away from you, it feels even better, okay? So lifting up. And then as you drop back down, knees reaching away towards the bottom of the mat, spine moving down. And it's a wonderful sense of release into the pelvis. Okay, now I want you to take your knees, lift your feet up off the mat, take your knees in towards your chest and just cup your hands around your knees and draw them in. If you've got any kind of tension or pain in your tummy, perhaps just widening your knees to create a little bit of room. But we want to be drawing the knees in towards the chest. Okay, and feet coming down. Okay, so don't have your feet quite so tucked in towards your bum now, like just let them loosen off. So I want you to come to my favorite constructive rest and just kind of feel that sense of release into the hips and begin those sways with the knees side to side. loosening and flexing the psoas muscle. Okay, so do that a few times. I'll just do it through quick. Okay. And when you feel you've got a little bit of momentum going, then come on to your side. And I want you just to tuck under to all fours. And then I want to do Cobra, okay? Or Sphinx and Cobra. So just before we do that, Cobra's fine for first and second half of the cycle. I've not really had to give you any cues for that so far in our practice tonight. If you're in the 2-week wait, sometimes you feel a bit funny about lying on your tummy. And that's fine. I totally get that. If you feel that way, you want to be lying and pushing down on my tummy, then I would suggest you move into that legs up the wall position that I showed you last week. If you weren't there, I'm just quickly going to show you. You literally get a bit of wall in your house. You tuck your sit bones as far in as you can, and you turn up, and you just let everything drain out of your legs and into the pelvic bowl. Okay, that's a whistle stop tour of legs up the wall, just in case there's someone who doesn't want to do these cobras with us. Okay, right, so we're going to get into a prone position. Now I find this hard. Don't copy me exactly, because I've got this microphone and I have to kind of lift my body a bit so that I don't have that horrible sound of the microphone. Okay, so lower ourselves down to a prone position and bring the forearms on top of each other and bring your forehead on. Okay, and just breathe there for a bit. Okay, so when you're breathing there, lengthen out with the legs. So really we've created loads of length through the spine with that nice little movement from bridge. We want to keep that up. Okay, few deep breaths. Okay, then what I want you to do is take your arms out of those folded position, and then as you're gazing at the floor, just bring your hands so that the thumbs are at your kind of eye level. Okay, and just keep gazing at the floor. You can lift your head a little bit. Okay, and what I want you to, but you're quite close to the ground, and what I want you to do is, we're just going to flow up and down, but again, it's super gentle and super subtle. Okay, so you're imagining you've got like a little marble on the floor right in between your hands, and you want to use your nose just to knock it forward. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But you'll see what I mean. So you're going to take an inhale, begin to gaze along the floor, and lift up, and exhale back down. But it's this movement of the head that's really subtle, and it's going to lengthen the spine. Okay, so you inhale, gaze forward, and the body wants to lengthen. Keep the toes reaching towards the bottom of the mat. Lift up and down, and then one more. Okay, now we want to just tuck the elbows in a little, right, towards the ribs. And we want to push into the hands and rise up like that Sphinx. Visualize that lovely Sphinx statue. And you are just gazing up at the ceiling. And you're just feeling a really nice connection with your lower belly and the ground, but your solar plexus is lifted. And breathe. And then slowly lower down. And then the hands, we want to bring them under the shoulders now, okay? Fingers are spread, toes are lengthened, and we lift up higher, okay? But the elbows, have got a softness in them, quite bent, okay? Don't clench the buttocks, okay? They're nice and relaxed. Lower yourself down into those folded arms again. And instead of the feet being about hip width, take them wider, like wider than the mat even. I want you to really release and let go here, okay? So I'm going to sit up because you won't be able to hear me very well, but I really want you to stay there for several rounds of breath, okay? And what I want you to do is, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to visualize that orange color that we did last week. This beautiful color orange. Perhaps it's just like the color of, one of those spectacular sunsets. And visualize that at your lower belly. You're completely connected with the earth here, with Mother Earth. It even feels like your womb space has roots on it that are connecting down with Mother Earth. And you're visualizing that orange, and your womb is so connected. And you can release here, okay? If there's anything that isn't serving you well, remember we talked about the emotions. Perhaps you have some just to release down to the earth. And perhaps there's something you have to receive. Okay. So enjoy that connection for another couple of breaths. It is quite special if you really go deep into it, and sometimes it can feel really hard to pull yourself away. Okay, so do it slowly, almost visualize those little roots sticking back up. And then from there, I want you to push yourself back into child's pose. Do it slowly, release the forearms, bring the hands under the shoulders, push up into child's pose again. Okay. Another few rounds of breath there. Okay. And then, as always, we need more hours in the day, don't we? I want to do one last posture before Shavasana, okay? And it is a pigeon pose. It's another brilliant release into the hips. It's amazing, right? And we're going to do it now, okay? So we're coming on to tabletop position, and you can get into pigeon from various ways, but I think this is quite a nice, steady way to get into it while I describe what we're trying to do, okay? So I am going to take my left knee up in between my hands, okay? See that there? My heel's just underneath, just keep it tucked under just now. And then my right leg, I'm going to lengthen it back, okay? So I'm going to slide it back. So what I've not done here, what you can't see, is I've not sat down onto my left buttock, right? That's lifted and the hips are forward, okay? So this is a position you can kind of dial up as you see sort of fit and how you want to go deeper into, okay? Because the heel tucked under isn't ideally where we want it to be, okay? We want it to move out of there to start increasing that stretch into the glutes, okay? So I am just gonna take my right hand onto my foot and begin to wiggle it out, okay? Right? And you'll get to a point your body says, right, that's plenty. That's plenty. So we're going to get there, okay? And another thing that could be nice is just a little sway side to side. Okay, so just feel that sway side to side. I think our music has stopped, unless I'm mistaken. Just sway yourself side to side in pigeon. And now we'll get the music back for us. That music track's called Earth's Embrace. I didn't actually realise that, but isn't that quite apt as to what we were doing there when we were connecting our womb to the earth? Okay, then after you've done your sways, we're just gonna kind of push into our hands and just lift our body up a little bit so that the chest is nice and open. Okay, there's tons you can do in pigeon, and I think I'll build that into the class plan for next week. We can do twists here, we can fold forward here, we can lift that back foot. It's a lush posture, but we're just keeping it really simple tonight. Okay, so let's come back up and out. And let's do the other side. So right knee up between the hands, wiggling the foot out. Okay, rock it out, side to side. Okay, and then lift, push into the hands or the fingertips, and lift and open the chest. Okay, so come back up to ball fours. Just give a little sway in a circle of the hips. And then you are now ready for Shavasana. Okay, so get yourself ready. What was I going to say? Don't skip this bit, okay? Even though I tell you that's what's coming, don't skip it. You want to really enjoy and let everything just settle. Let any emotions that you've released during the practice, let them just release and let go, okay? So get yourself lying on your back. Get a little pillow under your head or a cushion. Get a little blanket over you. Lying on your back with your heels apart, your toes flopping out to the side. Your hands are away from your body with the palms facing up. Your eyes are softly beginning to close. Your body beginning to soften and release. Begin to draw awareness to the natural easy breath of the body as it flows in and out. We're not doing much to manipulate the breath. We are just simply noticing the breath in the body. Imagine a yellow sun at the crown of your head, full of warmth, full of upliftment. And this sun floods over the body, drenching your body with this sense of upliftment, this sense of peace, this overwhelming sensation of having to let go and to release all tension in the body. You feel as if even if you wanted to open your eyes, it would take such a massive effort to do so. The head feels so heavy. The limbs feel so heavy as they are drenched in the warmth from the sunlight. You can no longer hold on. Every single cell of your body bathing in this sense of relaxation and release. And as you begin to relax and release, your subconscious mind begins to listen at a real deep level. And you feel an overwhelming compulsion to completely relax and let go. I expect a miracle. I deserve a miracle. I am grateful and loving for all that my body does for me. I make decisions that feel right for me. Making time for myself is important. I am confident in our ability to have a child. So by all means, stay here and let the music run. Bathe in the sunlight. Allow those affirmations to seep deeply into your subconscious mind. There's not even any need to remember them.
your subconscious mind heard them and believes them. So I am bowing to you all now, even though you can't see me do it because you're all relaxing. I'm bowing to you in love and gratitude, okay? And I hope to see a lot of you on again next week, okay? Lots of love.